Slow down there, buddy. Slow down. But for real, this world's going way too fast right now, man. I don't know if you guys feel the same way that I do, but everything's just too fast now. And I think everyone desperately needs to slow down. They need to stop speed running through life. Now, there are probably a bunch of reasons for why things feel so speed run right now or speed ran right now. And number one thing I can think of is definitely social media and technology in general. Don't get me wrong. Social media, well, let's just say technology in general is a great addition to human society. Because think of all the innovations that we have created over the last 50 years. But now, I think we're at a peak innovation, or we've probably peaked well before this. And now anything that is innovative now is just adding on to the things that have already been revolutionized, right? So for example, electricity was a big one. But now you can have smart lights, right? That you can control the color. It's not necessarily adding to it. Yes, it makes it a little more aesthetically pleasing, but it doesn't actually add much value to the thing at hand, right? Whereas actually having electricity versus not having electricity, now that's a big difference. So that's really just an example of what I mean with the technology already peaking. Now with social media, now this is one thing that I want to preface before I even get into this. I'm 28, so I grew up, I'm basically the beginning of Gen Z because I was born in 97. And I grew up in a time where I didn't have social media until I was, I don't know, Facebook came out when I was in the 5th grade, let's just say that. And so I had a childhood without the devices. Yes, I had video games that I would play with, but at the same time, me and the homies back then, we would go outside and play. We would ride our bikes, we'd play at the park, we'd play basketball, whatever, soccer, anything outside. Nowadays, these kids don't even know what outside looks like. I wouldn't be surprised if they've never stepped foot or they're just chronically addicted to staying indoors because this is all that they know, right? I think if you're a baby growing up right now, you would be considered the iPad generation because that's all you can. Well, that's basically like the new pacifier if you think about it, which is disappointing, man. This is not the direction that society should be heading in, but unfortunately, this is the case. I mean, with that being said, though, this is why I really think that we need to slow things down, because part of the equation is always figuring out what the problem is, right? What are we trying to solve for here? And I'm not really a math guy, but just off the top of my head, this is the analogy that came about. What are we really trying to solve for in this equation? And once you realize that things are going way too fast, the question now becomes, how do we slow things down? I think the best way to slow things down is, and probably the most simplest method, is just to put your devices away. Let's detox from these devices, right? And if social media is you can even check your screen time to see what social media apps that you use the most. It's going to tell you how many hours you spend on average. And with that being said, you can go ahead and just delete it, man. Just delete it. Stop being a slave to these applications. Because at the end of the day, we are meant to use these phones. These phones are now using us. So it's all backwards, right? So many people wake up and the first thing they do is touch their phone. I thankfully stopped doing this 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where I would set the alarm on my phone, but I would leave it on the other side of my room. So whenever the alarm would go off in the morning, I would have to get up physically and go and just turn it off. And I'd turn it off and instantly I would force myself not to scroll, because what am I doing? Why would you want to scroll right in the morning? It makes no sense. Your brain is just starting to wake up. And most people, this is a habit that I used to have. So I know a lot of people are still doing this too. They wake up and all they do is scroll for 10-15 minutes and then they're like, oh, let me go brush my teeth. That's pretty disgusting if you think about it, man. Go brush your teeth, go do everything that you need to do, and then use these devices. Why are you going to use the device first? It's really just showing how backwards our society has become and how dependent we are on this technology. And because of that, not only are you wasting 15 minutes of your time doing shit that probably is not productive at all, it's probably counterproductive to the max, but at the same time, it's like you're growing this addiction more and more, and you're just falling into this trap. You're wasting your life and you're speeding it up by, like, think about it. We have two people. In person A, both people, they wake up at the same time. They go to sleep at a reasonable time. They wake up early, so it's great. They're starting their day off right. or so you may think, because person A will wake up and they'll immediately scroll on their phone for 15 minutes on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. They're gonna, and in their head, they're just saying, I'm gonna catch up on all of the my feeds. And they're like, I just wanna catch up on everything. It's all chill. And person two, he immediately gets up and goes and brushes his teeth and stretches and meditates, which, by the way, this is exactly what I do and have been doing for the last 4 to 5 years. I might have missed maybe like max a week every year for the last 4 years. So each year I would have maybe had, and not a week straight, but just randomly I'd miss a day here and there, whatever, where I wouldn't stretch and meditate and do the whole thing. But who do you think is going to have a more productive day? The person who scrolls on things that they quote unquote think that are necessary but really aren't? Or person B, who gets immediately into action and saves the phone usage for later on in the day once he's settled into his daily tasks? So I usually wait about anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour before I actually touch my phone. Depends on the type of day that it is. And this has helped me tremendously, guys. Listen, if you guys are using your phone right when you wake up and even right before you go to sleep, I'm not really good with this one yet, but it's definitely something I want to work on, is basically not using my phone before I go to sleep, maybe like 30 minutes or so, to allow yourself that buffer period to wind down and allow your brain to calm down before you go to sleep. Because at the end of the day, we know what this phone and all these apps are doing, right? It's really just boosting your dopamine. And we don't want to be constantly boosting our dopamine. This is not natural. It's really not natural for us. And this is why it feels so wrong. And I know a lot of people can attest to this, man, because after scrolling and let's say you catch yourself doom scrolling for an hour or two, bro, by the end of the hour or two, you feel like shit. You're like, what the fuck did I do with my life? And that's just a telltale sign that, listen, this is not natural. This is not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be present, but unfortunately, everyone in the society is walking around with their heads down. You guys know what I'm talking about, tech neck. To be honest, even I have that even I have tech neck, or whatever you want to call it, because my neck's be hurting, bruh. It's hurting a lot nowadays, and so I'm trying to change my posture slowly but surely. Listen, first step is definitely to become aware of this. So, because there are a lot of people that go through life and they inherently feel that something is wrong, but at the same time, they can't really pinpoint what the reasoning is behind it. I'm telling you, number one reason, if you're feeling this way, it's because we as humans are now prioritizing things that don't actually add value to our life, right? And it's all because these things are pushed onto us. So mainly, yes, the technology, the phones and all that. But also, if you think about it, we are also products if we use social media, for example, or anything, right? Like now we are always being constantly sold to. And with that being said, we are the product. All of our information, this is what they use in order to sell us curated products that we are going to consume again and again and again and again. This is why consumerism has gone up. Corporations are just thriving right now, man, because they found a way to monetize at pretty much every single level. Even with subscription-based models, this has probably been another net negative thing that has happened to society as a whole, because now every little thing is just broken up to subscriptions, and you think it's not harming you, but it really is over the long period. Because imagine that you spend, let's say you have like 5 subscriptions and they're all $20 on average. Some people have less, some people have more. Let's just say it's about $100 for subscriptions. And it's $100 every month. Now that adds up to $1,200 for the year. And you guys got to think about that. $1,200 for the year it's not a crazy amount of money, but at the end of the day, that is a pretty good chunk of change. And if you, let's say, for example, invested that money, it's definitely going to do you much better. Now back to what I was talking about, not speed running your life. The one thing was definitely the phone. Yeah, I know the world has been running on capitalism, but it's getting to that point where the wealth gap is getting so large. So I saw a statistic that said that the top 10% of earners, or I guess people with the wealth, they're doing 50% of the spending right now, which is crazy to think. It's not as crazy as you think, because everywhere I talk to, or anyone I talk to, everyone's hurting right now, man. Inflation has risen through the roof and things are much more expensive than they were before. And of course, people are losing their jobs. If you are being affected in that sense, it is time to take control of your life, guys. Listen, I know things. I'm not a part of the government. I'm not a part of this group that's going to make these changes. And there's a good chance that you aren't either. But at the end of the day, we can only control what we can control. So which that is basically our actions, our mindset, our inputs, our outputs. What are we choosing to do with our day? How are we choosing to think? What are we choosing to put into our bodies, right? These are all things that we can control. Yes, we cannot control the actual climate of how the society is running right now, but at the same time, we can control what we can control and ultimately make our situation a little bit better every single day. And so you just want to get 1% better every single day. So listen, guys, it's a slow grind is better than no grind. And I would even say at this point, a slow grind is better than a fast grind. Slow is fast. And that's just how it is at this point. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you guys for watching and stay frosty, my friends.